Now let's talk about rendering images. First, let's restore our app to its original state. So let's change the background color to white. Now to put our content in the center of the screen, we have to set two properties. Justify content, we set this to center, and align items, we should set this to center as well. Okay, so now anything that we put inside this container, that is our safe area view, will be in the center of the screen, like this. Okay, now to render an image, first we import the image component from React Native. With this component, we can display both local images that we bundle with our app, as well as network images that we download over the internet. So currently in our assets folder, we have two images, icon and splash, which is used when our app is loading. So let's display the icon right below the text. So here we type image. Now, because we're not going to put anything in between the image tags, we can use the self-closing syntax. That makes our code cleaner. Now here we should set the source prop. To load our icon, we use the require function and specify the path to our image. So our app component is right here. We should go to the assets folder and load icon.png. So here we type period, which represents the current folder. Then we go to assets and load icon.png. So when we use the require function, React Native Packager will include this file in our bundle. So it's going to increase the size of our app. So we should use static images if they really have to be shipped with our app, like the icon or splash screen. Otherwise, we should download images from the internet. So now save the changes. Here's our image, beautiful. Now, what do you think this require function returns? It doesn't return an image or a string. It returns a number that is a reference to our image. Let me show you. So before our return statement, let's do a console.log and print require assets/icon.png. Now, look in the terminal. So 2 is the reference to our image, okay? All right, now let's delete this line. So this is how we can render local or static images. But what about network images? Well, let's head over to picsum.photos. This is a random image generator. Here's an example. Look at this URL. Every time we hit this URL, we'll get a random image with these dimensions, 200 by 300. So let's copy this. Now, back to VS Code. For network images, instead of the require function, we have to pass an object here. Now, this object should have a property called URI, which we set to a string. And this is where we paste the URL that we copied. So save the changes. Back to our simulator. Our image is not visible because React Native doesn't know its dimensions. So we have to manually specify the dimensions for network images. For local images, we didn't have to do this because the require function reads the metadata about our images, okay? So back to our code. In the object that we passed to the source prop, we set two extra properties, width to 200 and height to 300. Save the changes. So here's our image component and here's the result. Beautiful. Now here on the official documentation, you can see various props for the image component. Let's talk about a few useful props here. We have blur radius. This applies a blur effect to our image. So here we can set blur radius to, let's say 10. Now look, our image looks blurry. We also have loading indicator source. This is similar to the source prop, so we can give it a local image using the require function, or we can pass the URI of a network image. The image we pass here will be displayed while the actual image is being downloaded. We have another prop called fade duration. As you can see in this table, it's only supported in Android. So Android loads this image with a fade effect, and by default, this fade effect takes 300 milliseconds. Let me show you. Here's my Android virtual device. We can reload the app by pressing R twice. Now, look at the fade effect. Did you see that? We can change its duration to make it more pronounced. So here we can set fade duration to, let's say, 1 second. Now, let's reload the app. And here's our fade effect. Beautiful. So this only works on Android. It has no effect on iOS. Another useful prop is resize mode, which is used if the dimensions of our image is different from the dimensions we specify. So here we have various resize modes. We have cover, contain, stretch, repeat, and so on. These are the same resize modes we have in web applications. We also have a bunch of events like unload end, unload start, and so on. With these, we can tap into certain moments when an image is being loaded.